This is how you stop a relapse. And in this video, I'm going to talk about it. So I'm going to get into it really quickly. Today, I'm going to give you an easy and quick framework for you to understand why you fall into a relapse and how you can intervene before you end up with a consequence of a relapse. So the framework is simply ABC. And in psychology, this is known as the affect, behavior, and consequence framework. So when you relapse, it's usually because you experience an affect, and an affect is an emotion or a feeling. An emotional affect. So if you're feeling sad, that's an emotional affect. If you're feeling stressed, that's an emotional affect. So when you fall into a relapse, it's because you're experiencing a negative affect. So a background stressor or a negative stressor is causing you to feel unwell or uncomfortable, and you have this affect that leads to a behavior, which is either your substance of choice or going to pornography or seeking immediate gratification, smoking, drinking, whatever it may be. And then those behaviors lead to the consequence, which is the feeling of remorse, of guilt, of shame, of emptiness that you feel after you perform the behavior. So this is the ABC of psychology, the affect, behavior, and consequence. And this is why you keep relapsing. The ABC model perpetuates. When you fall into the ABC model, the affect, behavior, and consequence, you perpetuate this cycle of addiction and relapse. Because when you fall into the consequence of feeling empty and remorseful and shame and guilt, the only way you can get rid of that feeling is by repeating that behavior, which takes it away in the short term, but leads to long-term negative affect and negative consequences. So the way to intervene here and to stop you from relapsing is to recognize when you have a negative affect or a triggering emotion that makes you want to go and use your soothing behavior or your soothing habit or whatever the immediate short-term pleasure that you use to get over that negative experience of emotion. So you have that affect, the affect triggers you to act out a behavior, and that behavior causes a consequence, which leads to another negative affect, which leads to another negative behavior and to more negative consequences. So you can see how there's this negative feedback loop, and it's a perpetual cycle, and this is why you keep relapsing. You can do this indefinitely, just spinning your wheels literally for years until you get out of the hamster wheel and build a new life with new habits. So how do you stop this? How do you prevent this from happening? Well, you have to become more self-aware. You have to catch yourself when you're triggered, when you have a negative emotional affect feeling that makes you want to escape. Because that's what these behaviors are, the addictions, the substances, the pornography, the excessive masturbation, the smoking, the drinking. These things are self-soothers. We learn to soothe our affect with these negative behaviors, and they lead to the negative consequences. So catch yourself when you're feeling in a funk and stop yourself from escaping with a bad habit. So you can't just upend a habit and expect that negative affect to go away. No, you have to replace the negative habit with a positive habit. So if instead of going to eat junk food right away, or instead of going and looking up one of the hub sites, you can go out for a walk. Just get out of your immediate environment, go for a walk, maybe even jog for a little bit, do short bouts of high intensity interval training. You don't have to do much, just run as fast as you can for 30 seconds and then take a break for a minute and then repeat that for 5 minutes, for 5 cycles, and you'll wear yourself out. You'll induce a physiological response that will calm you down. Firstly, it'll activate your sympathetic nervous system, which increases your state of arousal and releases neurotransmitters like dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin. And then after your workout, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system, will kick in to calm you down. And inhibitory neurotransmitters will be released, and this will reduce your urge or your craving for that negative behavior, that soothing behavior that you use to quell the feeling of the negative emotional affect. And by doing this, you can intervene in the ABC perpetual cycle, and this over a long period of time will result in different consequences. So you're changing your behavior, which leads to better consequences. You're always going to have an affect. You're always going to have some kind of emotional response in life. It's not always going to be positive. It's not always roses and sunlight, right? So you have to learn how to shift your behavior to shift your consequences. So I hope this video finds you well. Give me a like and subscribe, and check out this one for more.